Picture this. It's 1763. The British Empire has just won the greatest war the world has ever seen. France is crushed. Britain now controls nearly all of North America. And that is where the trouble begins because winning that war came at a price, a staggering price. 60 million pounds of debt. The British government looks at its empty treasury, then looks across the ocean at its American colonies and sees a solution. Those colonies had it good under British protection. Now, Britain figured it was time they paid their fair share, and so it began, tax after tax, law after law. The Stamp Act of 1765, every piece of paper, newspapers, playing cards, legal documents, all of it now required a stamp, a tax just for existing. The colonists responded with two words that would echo through history: no taxation. Without representation, they didn't have a voice in Parliament, they had no say, and yet Britain kept reaching deeper into their pockets. The Townshend Acts followed, more taxes, more control. But this time, the colonists fought back differently. They boycotted. No British tea, no British goods. They would rather go without than be treated like subjects. The tension was building. Boston, 1770, a cold March night. A crowd gathers outside the customs house. Snowballs fly. Insults are shouted. British soldiers stand their ground until someone yells fire, and in the chaos, 5 colonists lay dead in the snow. The Boston Massacre. The Sons of Liberty had their martyrs. 3 years passed, the anger simmered, and then, on a December night in 1773, a group of men dressed as Mohawks crept aboard 3 British ships anchored in Boston Harbor. They carried axes, they smashed open 342 chests of tea, and they dumped every last leaf into the dark water. The Boston Tea Party wasn't just a protest, it was a declaration. Britain's response was swift and brutal, the coercive acts. The colonists called them the Intolerable Acts. Boston Harbor was closed. Massachusetts was stripped of self-government. Soldiers poured into the city. Britain was done negotiating, but instead of breaking the colonies, it united them. September 1774, 12 of the 13 colonies sent delegates to Philadelphia, the First Continental Congress. For the first time, they were not just Virginians and New Yorkers and Bostonians, they were Americans. King George III was not impressed. He doubled down. He sent more troops. He declared the colonies an open rebellion. His navy burned Falmouth to the ground, then Norfolk. The message was clear: submit or burn. The colonists had a choice. And in April 1775, British troops marched from Boston to seize weapons stockpiled in Concord. But the Patriots were watching. Paul Revere rode through the night. The British are coming. By dawn, militiamen were waiting. Lexington Green. First light, a single shot rang out. Nobody knows who fired it. But that shot was heard around the world. The American Revolution had begun. The British pushed on to Concord, sent running by a growing swarm of colonial militia. And as they retreated back to Boston, thousands of farmers, blacksmiths, and shopkeepers picked them off from behind stone walls and trees. 2 months later, on Breed's Hill overlooking Boston, the colonists dug in. The British charged. Once, twice, 3 times. The third time, the colonists ran out of ammunition. They lost the hill. But they proved something far more important. They could stand toe-to-toe with the greatest army on earth. The British won Bunker Hill, but at a devastating cost, and they no longer looked invincible. Now the colonies were at war. Siege lines tightened around Boston. And in the summer of 1775, a tall Virginian named George Washington rode into camp. He did not just see a ragtag militia. He saw an army waiting to be forged. The Continental Army was born. The King's olive branch was rejected. And a continent turned its eyes toward independence. The revolution was no longer a question of if, it was a question of how far they were willing to go.